Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. With what kind of slump that I'm on, the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Better Off Dead, Monday, August 18th, baby. Yesterday went all right. Probably should have gone better. Maybe it could have gone worse, too. 1-0-1 on the show yesterday. We had the Cincinnati Reds. They got there, man. I told you. Take the Reds. We're going to break the Milwaukee Brewers streak. Finally going to cut the head off of that zombie. Behead the zombie. It happened. The Reds, they had a 1-0 lead late in the game, and then it looked like Milwaukee was going to remain undead as they, I believe they hit a 2-run home run or something to take a 2-1 lead, I think in the 9th inning, and then the Reds tied it in the bottom of the 9th, sent it to extras, and then they wound up winning the game in extra innings, thankfully, after Milwaukee walked the bases loaded intentionally, and wound up giving up a walk-off single, I believe. So that was the end of that one. So we got that one right. And then that one was a roller coaster for sure. It was close. And then Detroit, Minnesota, really that should have been an easy winner on the over 9. I mean, if you had told me that going into that Chris Paddock alone was going to give up 8 earned runs in the game, I would have been like, I'm going to bet everything I own on the over in this game. Like, are you kidding me? All we need is one additional run just to push the thing, and then one more and it goes over. I mean, you have to be kidding me. The game, I think, had, I don't know, we were probably at about 7 runs scored in that game by, I don't know, the 4th inning or so in that game. It looked like it was completely over with the over. And then what happens? The bullpens actually wind up basically not giving up anything. Minnesota, their pitching somehow was good, which makes absolutely no sense with basically a bullpen game. With that bullpen, and the game wound up landing on 9 and pushing. So if anybody went over 9.5, I apologize for that. Although I did tell you 9 was a key number there, but I think pretty much 9 was out there for like the whole day, though. So I'm pretty sure if you played that one, you did go over 9 and pushed it with the rest of us. So yeah, you push it. We'll move on to today. We got baseball today, a bunch of baseball games today, more than what we usually see on Monday. So I think we're going to jump right into it, man. We're going to jump right into the rundown. I'm going to have 2 plays today in Major League Baseball. And again, they're probably not going to be very popular plays, but that's just the nature of it, man. You don't really want to be on popular plays more often than not. So try to find the edge somewhere. We're going to be edging. That's what we're doing here. Let's jump into it. We do have another Wrigley Field afternoon game because what else is new? But this is actually a doubleheader. As I mentioned yesterday, part of the Milwaukee handicap was that I thought they might be looking ahead to this series with the Cubs here. It's a big series, man. Even though Milwaukee does have a big lead in the division right now, this is going to be big. First game up is at 2:20 p.m. Eastern in game 1 of this doubleheader, which kicks off a 5-game series between these two teams. The pitching matchup in this one is going to be interesting. Bullpen-wise, I'm going to give the Cubs a bit of a bullpen edge here, although Milwaukee did not use many of their relievers yesterday. The Cubs didn't really use too many of theirs either. I mean, they used Ben Brown in relief, even though he's been in and out of the starting rotation. So bullpen's sort of a wash, but we're going to give the Cubs the bullpen edge, I think. Looking at the ERAs here, yeah, the Cubs 11th in bullpen ERA. Milwaukee, where the hell are they even at now? They've really fallen off, it looks like. Where are they? I don't even know. Brewers, where are you? Brewers, yeah, how about that? Brewers are actually right below them. I'm blind, 12th, but I'll still give the bullpen edge slightly to the Cubs here. Hitting advantage goes to the Cubs as well, even though Milwaukee is a pretty good offense on the road. So we have two pretty good offenses here, two good teams, obviously. Freddie Peralta pitching for Milwaukee. I mean, he's still pretty much their ace. He's doing well this year, 2.9 ERA, 1.12 whip. But he does have a 4 ERA on the road, so Freddie Peralta not quite as good on the road. I'd say he's in pretty good form in his 2 starts this month with 14 strikeouts and only 4 walks in 11 innings, 7 hits allowed, 1 earned run combined. Against some weak offenses, though, against Atlanta and Pittsburgh. And by the way, the game prior to that, he faced the Cubs, and he didn't do well in that game. He gave up 5 earned runs, 4 walks in that game. So Peralta maybe doesn't really have a matchup edge in this one against a hard-hitting Cubs team, but if you look at his overall numbers against the Cubs, they are good. In a large 158 at-bat sample size, 55-22 strikeout walk ratio is not exactly that great for him, but 165 batting average allowed, 596 OPS, excuse me. So Peralta does overall have good numbers throughout his career against the Cubs, but he also isn't as good on the road. He's very familiar to the opposing offense, and Cade Horton is going to be the much more unfamiliar pitcher. He's a young guy in the Cubs rotation, and he's actually been pitching pretty effectively. 3.07 ERA, 1.18 whip. He's got a 1.61 ERA at home, so the splits definitely line up for the Cubs here in this one. As far as the pitching matchup is concerned, the Cubs have actually won 4 straight games of his, and he's allowed 1 earned run combined over his last 5 starts. So he's in good form right now, man. He has a 17-5 strikeout walk ratio this month, which is also pretty good. A .55 ERA. He's got at least 5 innings in every one of those starts as well. Really the best offense that he faced that whole stretch was, I guess, the Red Sox, and he did face Toronto in there as well. So he faced a couple of pretty potent offenses there. Milwaukee's also a potent offense, but Milwaukee's never seen him before. Vaughn, the only hitter who's faced him before, is 0 for 2 off him. So I'm going to give the edge to the Cubs in this game, man. I would lean to the Cubs in this afternoon game. It looks like the money is agreeing with me. The Cubs dropped on the money line from -120 to -112. 50% of tickets evenly split. 62% of the cash coming in on the Cubs. And the other thing I like about this is that when you have Milwaukee, a team like that had this huge win streak, they hadn't lost in like over 2 weeks, and then they finally lose a game, I think that really can tend to hang you over into the next game, especially when it was a dramatic extra innings finish there, whereas the Cubs, I believe, aren't even traveling. Milwaukee's having to travel in from Cincinnati, which isn't a huge amount of travel, but the Cubs are just kind of sitting at home after a very ho-hum series where they barely beat Pittsburgh a couple of times. So I think the Cubs do have an advantage here. I'm actually tempted to give this out as a play, to be honest. Should we do it? It's close. It's definitely close to being a play for me, man. I like the Cubs in this one. Yeah, it's very close to being a play. I might wind up with 3 plays today if I do this. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. I'm really tempted to do it. Let me just let me check on Action Network here real quick. I might give out an extra play on the fly here. If I do, this is going to be my weakest of the 3 plays, though. Let me see here. Cubs, what are we doing? The afternoon game here. To some extent, I mean, Action Network never really, I don't really trust the numbers that they have out here because they, look at that initial move as being a sharp move, but it could be kind of like a false move there. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do the Cubs. We'll have 3 plays today, so that's going to be Cubs -118. I think it's probably the best you can get on that right now. We're going balls to the wall here today, man. Chicago Cubs -118. Actually, let me specify game 1. Game 1, Chicago Cubs -118. So that's going to be our afternoon game, doubleheader right there. Chicago Cubs. Game 2, by the way, very difficult to handicap. Neither team has an announced starting pitcher yet in game two. So game two, I really just can't even handicap it to any extent, really. So game two, we'll skip that one. Skip the game two ussy, the game tussy. Houston at Detroit starts the evening slate here. Detroit is returning home from a road trip, where they went to Chicago, Minnesota. Not a huge road trip, but anytime a team returns home from a road trip, I do have to point out that they tend to be potentially a little bit distracted because they have to return to family life. But they are facing Houston. And Houston and Detroit, a couple of the top teams in the AL right now, so it is a big series. So I don't really think Detroit's going to be totally distracted and just overlook Houston. Houston starting a road trip after a really ugly 12-0 loss to Baltimore. They got shut out in 2 of the 3 games against Baltimore, and that's just hideous. Terrible series from Houston. So I think Houston is going to show up in this game with some fire here. I mean, they're going to be pissed. Like, you can't lose like that to a bad team like Baltimore. So I think getting out of home, just going on the road, I think that's a good spot for Houston. So situationally, I kind of have a lean towards Houston, just looking at what's going on with the just with the scheduling spot there for Houston. Houston used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday. They've had a pretty heavy usage of their bullpen recently. They're pretty taxed. So I don't love that aspect of it. Whereas Detroit, the game was just a blowout game after Paddock basically made sure that they were not going to win that game. So Detroit just brought in Bailey Horn, who didn't help us with our over yesterday, I guess. But Detroit's bullpen is in way better shape coming into this one, even though Houston actually has the better of the 2 bullpens generally. Although Houston's kind of dropped off a little bit, but Detroit's really seen a drop off in their bullpen. But I will give Detroit the bullpen edge here slightly, just because they have a much more rested bullpen here. As far as the starting pitching, Spencer Arrighetti is pitching for Houston. He hasn't really gotten on track here. He's missed a lot of the season, though. I do think he's a young guy with a decent amount of talent, though. 6.38 ERA, 1.47 WHIP, not really very good, obviously. 12.27 ERA on the road. That's going to have to get better, but very small sample size. I mean, he's had 2 starts on the road, but they were against bad teams, Minnesota and Miami, and he did bad in both of those starts. So that's not exactly a good sign. And another bad sign is that he walked 5 guys in his last outing against the Red Sox. So Arrighetti, he's just not really in good form right now. Going up against Detroit, only 6 at-bats for Detroit against him across 5 different hitters, but they have actually completely bombed him for the most part. Riley Green has 2 home runs off him. They have 3 walks against him, 1 strikeout, 667 batting average against him, and 2,611 OPS. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but Arrighetti, small sample size, has really struggled against Detroit. Jack Flaherty is pitching for Detroit. He's definitely had some issues this year. 4.76 ERA, 1.31 WHIP, not very good. But he does pitch better at home. 3.79 ERA at home. Is that what that was? I think so. Yes. And Flaherty, I mean, his recent form is a little bit difficult to gauge because you look at this month, he has a 16-5 strikeout walk ratio, which is pretty good. But his last 2 starts, he gave up 5 earned runs apiece, failed to go 5 innings in either of them, and that was against Minnesota and the White Sox, so 2 pretty bad teams there. Really bad offenses, especially Chicago, the White Sox. So Flaherty's not really in good form either. But he does have, I believe he does have a little bit of a matchup edge here. His numbers are the better numbers between the 2 starters. And I would say he's still in slightly better form than Arrighetti is right now. 79 at-bats Flaherty has against Houston. 23-3 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good. 241 batting average allowed, 686 OPS. So the situation kind of points towards Houston in this game, but I think the starting pitching matchup and the bullpen rest edges fairly decidedly in favor of Detroit, in my opinion, and the money is coming in on Detroit. Detroit is definitely better at home. I think Detroit also has the better offense. Detroit's up from -138 to -150, 77% of the cash on them, 52% of tickets on Houston, so it does look like Houston is public. So even though it is a Detroit return home spot, I think I'm going to say I'll lean with the market in this one and lean to Detroit here. Offense, there isn't a huge disparity here in the stats either, but I do think we have to give the offensive edge to Detroit there. All right, next up is St. Louis and Miami. And I'm going to save the other best bets for the end, I guess, but I did give out one bet already on Chicago, on the Cubs, because I gave it out on the fly. Miami, they're returning over from a road trip as well. They just had a long road trip, actually. They went to Atlanta, Cleveland, and Boston. And they had a pretty poor road trip. They only won 3 games on the road trip. They won 1 game in each series. Unfortunately, winning dramatically with a 3-run home run or whatever, a 3-run ninth with a home run in it to beat the Red Sox after Garrett Crochet put the Red Sox in position to win that game. And the Red Sox bullpen completely blew it, which I'm pissed about, obviously, because the Yankees wound up winning in the 9th inning as well with a 4-run ninth, and the Red Sox blew their game in the 9th. So Miami is coming in with a little bit of momentum after they stopped their loss streak, but it's still a return home spot for Miami. I don't know that Miami's really going to get up for a St. Louis team, or both of these teams are out of it, so I don't really know how important this game really is to either team necessarily. So Miami, they might fall into that distracted spot in the return home spot. It's not really a great spot for Miami. As far as the bullpens are concerned, Miami, I believe, used less of theirs yesterday. And they used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, so their bullpen is less used up right now than St. Louis's is. And remember, St. Louis did trade a couple of their best relief pitchers away at the trade deadline, although generally St. Louis does actually have the better bullpen ERA on the year, fairly significantly so. So St. Louis does have a little bit of a better bullpen, but again, the rest scenario kind of cancels that out a little bit. As far as the hitting is concerned, I don't think either team is a particularly good offense at this point. Miami actually has a slightly better offensive numbers this year at this point, but it's not really that significant. As far as the pitching matchup, Matthew Liberatore is pitching for the Cardinals, 4.08 ERA in the season, 1.29 whip. His numbers are very mediocre, but he is actually better on the road, 3.59 road ERA. This month, he has not been good, though. He's actually gone 5 starts in a row now, going back into last month where he hasn't even gone 5 innings in any of them. That's not a good sign. This month, 5-4 strikeout walk ratio, not a good sign. So Liberatore, he's not getting you deep into games, man. He's not really getting the job done right now. He's not in good form, in my opinion. Up against Miami, Miami has barely seen him, though. Miami only has 5 at-bats off him. 3 hitters have faced him. They're 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts against him. So Liberatore does have the advantage of the split being in favor of him, being on the road, and he has a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge there. And like I say, when pitchers are unfamiliar to the opposing lineup, sometimes the opposing lineup can kind of struggle early on because they have to kind of figure him out. Yuri Perez is pitching for the Marlins. He's a really good young pitcher, man. I mean, obviously, if you watch my show, you know that I am a Perez fan. 3.58 ERA, 0.98 whip is really good. He has the advantage of his home road splits as well with a 2.08 ERA at home. He's been really good at home. He had one shaky start recently against Atlanta, but other than that, he's been good recently as well. He's allowed... he allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in a whole bunch of starts in a row up until the last 2 starts. So, yeah, I guess you could argue he's fallen out of form a little bit, but I would push back against that because even though he allowed 4 earned runs against Cleveland last time out, and I know Cleveland is a bad offense, but he allowed 2 home runs in that game, so he got kind of unlucky, like when the hits came against him, and he had 8 strikeouts and no walks, so I think that indicates that his control was there. So I don't think that was as bad of a start as it looked like it was. So I think he's kind of returning back into form here. And up against the St. Louis Cardinals here, they don't have a huge history against him either because he is a young guy. They only have 13 at-bats, 2 hits off him, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, a 154 average, 445 OPS. So I think Perez does match up fairly well there as well. So looking at the unfamiliarity aspect of this, I actually think an under maybe is worth a look, especially in the first 5 innings of this game, just going with the starting pitching matchup. We do see 76% of tickets on the over, but 83% of the cash coming in on the under. I would probably agree with that, but the total's down from 8 to 7.5, juice to the over. So the problem is you can't really trust these bullpens that much. So if you do want to go under, I mean, a first 5 inning kind of makes more sense, even though you do get the better of the key number 7 on the full game. I mean, I wouldn't really beat you up over it if you did go that way. If you go under in the first 5 innings, you should probably try to get under 4 or so in the first 5 innings. But I would worry a little bit about that just because I still don't know if you can really trust Liberatore right now. That's kind of the issue there. And again, if he doesn't go deep into the game, the bullpen has to come in for St. Louis somewhere around the middle of the game. That makes the full game under a little bit dicier. Miami also has the money coming in on them on the side, up from minus 127 to minus 146. 54% of the cash on them. 51% of the tickets evenly split, 51% of the tickets on St. Louis, So the money is coming in on Miami. I don't really disagree with that either. I think Miami with the bullpen rest edge there, with being at home with Yuri Perez, I think being the better of the two starters. I don't really disagree with the Miami side either with the matchup, but I really, really am rarely going to play on a team that's returning home from a road trip, so I don't like that. JC, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Pete, what's up, man? Pete Magaha, that's right. I don't even know. I was going to try to come up with some Make America Great Again variation there, but I don't know. You said you're on over in this one. You went over in the Miami game. Perez is awesome, man. I don't really like the over. I mean, I still lean to the under, but if you got, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You got 8.5, 8.5? What game are you talking about? I don't even know. This game wasn't at 8.5, right? I think it was 8 and then it dropped to 7.5, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, man. Magaha. I'm trying to figure out what the acronym would be there. Make Canada great and healthy again. How about that? Oh, okay. You took an alternate line. Yeah, that makes sense. You had to pay more to get it. But you took an alternate line over, so you're getting like plus money on going over the 8.5. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree with it generally as far as, like, I do think the game's going to be lower scoring, but yeah. Okay. All right. Is that really a last name? Magaha? Sounds gayer if I say it that way, but Toronto at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is returning home from a road trip as well, where they went to Milwaukee and the Cubs. So Pittsburgh doesn't have a whole lot left to play for here, and they are coming off two big divisional series against the two best teams in the division. So Pittsburgh did step it up in some of those games. They played pretty competitively against the Cubs. So for this game, it does look like to me they might not really be in the greatest spot here. This could be a distracted return home spot for Pittsburgh here, even though Toronto is still leading the AL East, I'm pretty sure. Toronto potentially could overlook Pittsburgh, though, and Toronto just lost a 3-game win streak with a loss yesterday against Texas. But the question is, losing a win streak like that, does that mean it's going to hang them over into this next game, or are they going to be focused again because they lost so badly yesterday, 10-4, and they're starting a road trip here? Does that mean Toronto's going to show up focused here? I don't know. I could see it going either way, man. It's actually a pretty difficult game to gauge here. As far as the usage for the bullpens yesterday, we had 3 relief pitchers enter the game for Pittsburgh yesterday. Actually, 4, I think is what that was. Toronto used more of their bullpen, though. They used 5 relievers, it looks like, yesterday. As far as the bullpens, generally, I think I'm still going to give the edge to Toronto's bullpen, although they've slipped quite a bit recently, but Pittsburgh's has kind of fallen off as well. So not great bullpens here, but Toronto does have the better of the two bullpens. Toronto obviously has the better offense. Pittsburgh's is essentially the worst in all of baseball. Gaussman pitching for Toronto here, 3.79 ERA, 1.05 whip on the season. Pretty good numbers. Better on the road as well, 3.48 ERA on the road. He's been in decent form this month with a 16-3 strikeout walk ratio, 3.6 ERA, and he's gone 7 innings apiece in his last 2 starts, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs, including a game at Coors Field and another game against the Cubs. So that's a decent sign, I guess. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start, going all the way back, including his last start in June. So Gaussman, yeah, he's in pretty good form right now. He's facing a really bad Pittsburgh lineup, but interestingly, his numbers are not good against Pittsburgh, although only 4 of their hitters have seen him before. They have 55 at-bats against him. They have a 364 batting average and a 1,061 OPS and 4 homers against him, with 2 from Kiner Falefa and 4 walks and 13 strikeouts. So Gaussman actually doesn't have great matchup numbers here against Pittsburgh, and he's going up against Paul Skeens, who, even though he doesn't get a lot of run support because Pittsburgh blows, and they probably focus even less on their offense when they know Skeens is pitching. Skeens, I mean, I love Skeens. I feel bad for him that he's in such a bad situation here on such a bad team, but he's doing really well again this year. 2.13 ERA, 0.96 whip. He's been better at home, too, with a 1.7 ERA at home. They're limiting his pitch count a bit, though, and he's been a little bit worse recently, so I don't really feel like throwing money or, just giving out a play in Pittsburgh either here. But Skeens, obviously he is Skeens. He's been good for most of the season. They've been limiting his pitch count a little bit recently, although he has thrown over 90 pitches in his last 3 starts. But I think Pittsburgh, they really don't want to totally burn him out, though, because he's still a young guy that throws 100 miles an hour. He does have a 20-4 strikeout walk ratio still this month, which is good. But he allowed 4 earned runs apiece against Colorado and Milwaukee. Although I guess you could argue that, you could kind of give him a pass for those because one was at Coors Field and the other was against Milwaukee. It was just a super hot team. Milwaukee with a good offense. So maybe you give him a pass for those outings. Against the Blue Jays, they basically haven't seen him before. Only France has ever faced him before, and he's 1 for 2 with a strikeout. So based on that starting pitching matchup, I could still see the argument that you could lean towards Pittsburgh in the first 5 innings here, and that might actually be, if you want to play this game, that might actually still be the way I would recommend playing this, but I really don't love playing teams like Pittsburgh on the return home spot there. It would be purely a starting pitching matchup edge that Skeens might have there, but everybody knows how good Skeens is at this point, so you never really get that much value on him anymore. But Pittsburgh did drop from minus 127 to minus 107 on the money line. 62% of the cash on them, 61% of the tickets on Toronto. So Toronto is the public team, which obviously that makes sense. They will be because Pittsburgh has a terrible record. So maybe in this case, you could take a flyer on Pittsburgh in the first 5. The money is also coming in on the under. As the totals flip from very low already, 7 juice to the over to 7 juice to the under. 59% of tickets on the over, 90% of the cash on the under. I would worry about the under here just because Gaussman, his matchup numbers just don't look good. But, of course, it is certainly possible he comes out and just pitches well. Pittsburgh's offense sucks. So, you have to kind of weigh everything together there. But it's a difficult game to figure out there. You passed on that game? Yeah, I am also going to give out a pass on that game. Seattle at Philadelphia. This is a game where Seattle, they played in the night game last night on ESPN. And by the way, I forgot to even mention on the show yesterday because I completely forgot that was the stupid Little League Classic game. So it was not at the Met Stadium. It was actually in Williamsport, Pennsylvania or whatever the hell it is. So it wasn't at the Mets home stadium, even though it was a Mets home game, semi-home game, I guess, whatever. Mets wound up winning the game. It was a big game for Seattle nonetheless, though. Teams that come off that night game, I tend to look to fade those teams because it's a big primetime game. There's a lot of fanfare, I guess, around it being the Little League game and whatever. I think players usually kind of hang around and sign stuff for the Little League players, being a cool thing, whatever, because it's during the Little League World Series that's going on right now. So Seattle's coming off that and with a short turnaround time. Not huge travel, just going from being in Pennsylvania already, or even if they were in New York, it wouldn't really matter. They're just going to Philadelphia. So it's a short trip for Seattle here. But again, short turnaround time there with Philadelphia having a little bit more time to rest here, but Philadelphia is returning home from a road trip, so it's not like Philadelphia is in a good spot either. They went to Texas, Cincinnati, Washington on the road trip, so the last leg of this trip isn't that long, but again, Philly is returning home from a road trip here, so it is a little bit of a bad spot for both teams, so I can't really take, sometimes I'll look at the situation and be like, holy shit, this situation's really bad for one team. I want to play on the other team. But in this case, it's pretty bad for both teams. And again, the return home spot can tend to be a bit of a distraction spot. So when both teams are kind of in bad spots like that, I think it can kind of affect the hitting more than anything else. So I kind of tend to think that the hitting might actually be a little bit poorer in this game. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe an under kind of makes sense in this game, but you got to take everything that's going on in this game. Maybe I look at every piece of the matchup and maybe I weigh one part of the matchup too much over another because I'm not having a great baseball season. I'll just put it out there, but I've been decent recently, at least. And baseball is usually good for me. Philadelphia has the worst of the two bullpens. Their bullpen's not great. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle only used 2, so Seattle does have a bullpen advantage. Philadelphia has the better offense, and they're pretty good at home, too, so Philadelphia does have the offensive edge. On the surface, between the two starters, I prefer Logan Gilbert for Seattle out of the two. He has good numbers on the season, 3.31 ERA, 0.98 whip, and even a whip below 1. I mean, that's really, really good, man. Basically elite. But Gilbert is not as good away from Seattle. I mean, every Seattle pitcher is pretty much better at home. He has pretty significant home road splits, 4.86 ERA on the road. Would make me a little bit hesitant to want to back Seattle here just because he isn't as good on the road. He is in pretty good form recently, though. 3 starts this month. He has a 19-5 strikeout walk ratio, 3.12 ERA. It's against bad offenses, though. Texas, White Sox, Baltimore. So he's stepping way up in class to have to face this Philadelphia lineup here. But he is still in good form right now. So again, you got to kind of weigh those conflicting factors there. But his numbers are actually good in his career against the Phillies hitters. 78 at-bats. He has a ridiculous 26-2 strikeout walk ratio against them. 205 average allowed him, 546 OPS. So Gilbert may actually do fairly well here in this game against Philly. Going up against Ronier Suarez, who, if you watch my show, you know that I don't totally buy Suarez. Like beginning of last year, he was really hot. He had a really hot stretch this year, but I don't think he's quite as good as that. I think he's okay. I think he's still not quite as good as his numbers are this year. 3.28 ERA. His whip is up to 1.2, so it is climbing a bit. He's actually worse at home as well. 4.47 ERA at home. So again, as far as the total is concerned on this game, I mean, I would be pretty hesitant to want to try to go with an under in this game. Suarez is not in good form right now either. He's the pitcher who's in the worst form. As I said, his numbers are starting to get worse. He does have an 11-2 strikeout walk ratio this month, so he's not walking guys, but he's allowing a lot of hard contact. He's allowed a lot of runs, 5 or more on runs in 2 straight starts against Baltimore, which is not a good sign. And then at Cincinnati, which I know is a hitter-friendly park, but he still allowed 10 hits in 5 1/3 innings in that game, in addition to those 2 walks that he issued. So he's really not in excellent form right now at all. Up against Seattle, his numbers are pretty mediocre. In 40 at-bats, 275 average allowed, 785 OPS is a bit on the higher side. 13-2 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good, but matchup numbers, I think, kind of point towards Seattle being the having the starting pitching edge here as well. So, I mean, all that being said, I guess I would give out a slight lean on Seattle in this game because I do think they have the pitching edge kind of across the board in this game. Philly is up from -110 to -112, but you know Philadelphia is going to be a public team, even though Seattle does have those offensive players like Raleigh that tend to get a lot of public attention. Philadelphia, they're just kind of always a public team. They're always kind of a named team with known for having a good offense. 66% of tickets, only 65% of the cash on Philly, so they are the public team. The money seemed like it dropped the total down from 8 to 7.5, but we see, 88% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the over. So the over is definitely a public type of play there. I wouldn't want to touch the total in this game, really. I mean, the books are putting out a low total for a reason because they think this may actually be a starting pitching duel in some ways, but I would not want to risk an under in that game at all. I think if you want to play that game, Seattle would be the way to go. Baltimore and my Boston Red Sox, I'm going to skip for a minute because that is going to be one of my plays for the best bet segment. Trying to get this done, man. Monday, I usually have shorter, we can usually have a shorter show on Monday, but still a lot of baseball games here. White Sox at Atlanta. I mean, this is a bad game, dude. I mean, you got 2 teams that are totally out of it. Trying to gauge motivation in a game like this is difficult, although Atlanta's actually playing some pretty good baseball right now, winning 5 games in a row and coming off a sweep of Cleveland, but they're returning home from a road trip that took them to the Mets in Cleveland, and they won all but the first game of that entire road trip. And now they're returning home to face a very bad White Sox team. So it could be a distraction spot for Atlanta here, man. Returning home, nothing really to play for. You're playing one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, probably doesn't look like a game that Atlanta's really going to get up for. The White Sox, they're in the middle of a road trip. They did just get swept by Kansas City. The White Sox, I believe, have lost 8 games in a row at Kansas City now, which I forgot to mention yesterday. But they really, really play poorly in Kansas City. But the White Sox have been really bad last couple of years anyway. So they're continuing a road trip. Maybe it'll be good for the White Sox to just get out of Kansas City and just get a fresh start here, basically, in some aspects. But Atlanta has got to have the matchup edge in this game, though. I mean, they're obviously still the better team. They have the better talent. Atlanta has the better offense. They have the better bullpen as well, and they have the better starting pitcher as well. So Atlanta basically has the edge across the board in this game, except for the fact that they're returning home from a road trip. But the matchup edge is all one-sided on Atlanta. Yendris Gomez is pitching for the White Sox, if that's even how you pronounce it. Yendris Gomez. I would not trust this guy at all for the White Sox. 5.56 ERA, 1.54 whip. Obviously not good numbers here. He's been bad on the road this year, 9.82 ERA on the road. He's still a young guy. He's been on a bunch of different teams. He was on the Yankees for a few seasons and just made very limited appearances. Started this season with the Yankees, and then I guess he got traded to the Dodgers, and then he got traded to the White Sox. So he's been all over the place here. Really stepping down, man. I don't know if he's going to be really excited to be on the White Sox after he was on the Yankees and the Dodgers. Oh, I was on those two contenders, and now I'm on this team. Oh, my God. He's only had one really bad outing with the White Sox so far, though, which was against the Cubs, a good hitting lineup. And other than that, he's actually been fairly good, surprisingly. In his last outing, he actually went 5 innings. He actually had a full starter's workload in that game, even though he's been a relief pitcher for like his entire major league career, I think. 7-1 strikeout walk ratio, only allowed 1 hit and 1 earned run against Detroit. I mean, that's a pretty impressive outing. I mean, not going to lie. So he does apparently have some ability here, man. That's not too bad. He's facing Atlanta now, who doesn't have as good of an offense as Detroit does. Atlanta's got 4 hitters who have seen him before. They're only 1 for 6 off him. 3 strikeouts and 2 walks, no extra base hits. So very limited sample size, but Gomez has actually pitched well against them. So is it possible that Gomez actually pitches well in this game? It is possible. On the surface, it looks like it's a complete mismatch between him and Strider, though, because Strider is the much more proven pitcher, but Strider's numbers are really starting to fall apart. Like, he seemed like he was back in form. He was injured coming into the season, and then it seemed like he had gotten himself totally back on track. But recently, he's been awful again. His ERA is up to 4.69, 1.36 whip. By no means do I think Strider is as bad as those numbers would suggest right now. He is better at home, 3.74 ERA. I still think Strider is good, but his starts this month have been atrocious. He hasn't gone 5 innings in either start. He's given up 5 home runs this month, still has 8 strikeouts, but 3 walks. He's given up 13 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings, 19 hits. I mean, he's getting absolutely rocked, but it was against Milwaukee and the Mets, and we know obviously the White Sox are a way worse offense than those two. So he is stepping way down in class to face this White Sox lineup. But the White Sox, limited playing time for sure. Only 3 hitters have seen him before. They're actually 3 for 10 off him with a couple of doubles, but also 6 strikeouts and no walks. So again, very small sample size. Take what you will away from that. But, I mean, my instinct on this is kind of that just the fact that Gomez has pitched a little bit better. These teams kind of don't know. Strider could bounce back a little bit against this bad offense. I mean, there's not a whole lot of familiarity with these pitchers. Does an under actually make sense in this game? I mean, the money seems like it came in on the over a little bit, up to 8.5 juice to the over. 81% of tickets, 83% of the cash, but I'm thinking under might be a better way of looking at this game, but maybe you want to do it in the first 5 innings because I don't really love these bullpens. Atlanta used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. The White Sox used 3. So their usage wasn't that high, but White Sox bullpen's really bad too. So maybe an under in the first 5 actually kind of makes sense in this game. Atlanta obviously is a huge favorite and probably unjustifiably huge, down from minus 195 to minus 190. 78% of tickets, only 63% of the cash. It's because it's Strider against, basically a converted reliever. So Atlanta basically has to be favored like that. But I don't know if it's justified, man. I mean, Atlanta's been so bad this season record-wise that it's probably not justified, even though, as we keep saying, Atlanta, talent-wise and their run differential-wise, they are actually better than the record makes them look. Texas is at Kansas City. Kansas City's staying at home. Playing pretty decent baseball right now. They're still kind of in the hunt, actually. So Kansas City still has something to play for. So does Texas, I think. They're both kind of on the verge there of maybe getting back into the playoff race there. Kansas City's won 5 of their last 6. They did just sweep the White Sox, so I don't think they're going to be feeling high on themselves after sweeping the White Sox. Texas coming in after breaking a 4-game loss streak. They beat Toronto yesterday. They are having to travel from Toronto to Kansas City, though, so it's not exactly a great travel spot for Texas, but they did end their losing momentum there, so that might help Texas a little bit. As far as the bullpens are concerned, Texas used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Kansas City used 4, and I would say Texas does have the better of the 2 bullpens. They're 5th in bullpen ERA, so they are the better of the 2. Kansas City 9th. Texas and Kansas City both have really weak offenses too. Texas is 4th worst offense in all of baseball. Kansas City is whatever that is, 7th worst in all of baseball. So we have a couple of pretty good bullpens, a couple of bad offenses, which makes you think maybe you want to look towards an under in this game. But the total's at 9.5, which is kind of disrespecting the 2 starting pitchers. And maybe Leiter deserves some disrespect. I don't know, for the Rangers here. Jack Leiter. Zach, what's up, man? Zach, the Royals fan, of course. Jack Leiter, I mean, his 3.94 ERA is good, but his 1.34 whip is not good. He is a guy with talent. I mean, he could throw hard, but he walks way too many guys, man. He's got a 4.6 ERA on the road, which is not good. This is also a pitcher-friendly park, by the way, which makes the under seem even more tempting here. But Jack Leiter's been in bad form, man. He's only made it 5 innings once in any start this month. Has a 13-9 strikeout walk ratio. So even though he hasn't allowed many runs, he's allowed 2 or fewer in every outing. He's just not getting deep into outings. He's walking way too many guys. He's walked 3 or more in every start, but his most recent one going all the way back into basically early July. So that's a pretty bad sign. Leiter's not in good form right now. He is facing Kansas City, though, which is a really bad lineup. Where are we at here? Come on, where's KC? What? There they are. So going up against Kansas City, Leiter, he actually hasn't done that well against them either in 21 at-bats. They have 3 home runs off him, though, of course, 2 of them are Perez. 333 average, allowed 1,248 OPS, and only a 2.2 strikeout walk ratio. So Leiter has not been very good against Kansas City. He's going up against Michael Wacha, who I think probably does have the starting pitching edge here. 3.35 ERA, 1.15 whip. So he's the pitcher that has the way better whip. He has the better of the splits, home and road, too. He's better at home, 2.67 ERA at home. He's also in the better form with an 11-2 strikeout walk ratio this month. He doesn't really strike guys out, but not putting a lot of guys on base. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 6 straight starts now. His team has actually won 4 starts in a row behind him, even though they usually don't give him any run support. So that's a decent sign. Wacha is in pretty good form right now. He is pitching well. Against Texas, he has mediocre numbers in 99 at-bats, 25-7 strikeout walk ratio, 253 batting average allowed, which is pretty low, and 767 OPS is a little bit high because he's allowed 4 home runs against them. 2 to the jock strap, Jock Peterson. I hope that is his nickname. Jock Peterson. So I think Wacha does have the starting pitching edge here, though. So, I mean, I would kind of be tempted to slightly lean to Kansas City in the first 5 innings because I think that's maybe the biggest edge that exists in this game is that starting pitching matchup for Kansas City. Plus, they have the travel edge, but the money's coming in on Texas. Kansas City up for -120 or down from -127 to -126 on the money line. 60% of tickets on them, but 74% of the cash on Texas. So the money is coming in on Texas. Pretty strong market read actually on Texas. Again, I'm staying away from this one. I don't want to recommend it. And the total went up a little bit to 9.5, which seems crazy high to me for these 2 bad offenses, 2 decent bullpens, and really the only component that I see really being against and under here is the fact that Leiter isn't very good. But we have 66% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over. So the over is taking money. Do with that information what you will. That's not going to be a play for me. Milwaukee, Chicago, Cubs, I told you with that night game in the doubleheader, we don't even know who the starters are. We don't know what the bullpen scenario is going to be like after they play the first game, so almost impossible to handicap that game. Dodgers at Colorado. Oh, boy. Colorado, I mean, we know how bad they are, even though they're a little bit better at home. They actually just swept, or no, they didn't sweep Arizona, excuse me. They won 3 of 4 against Arizona, but Colorado's actually won 5 of their last 6 games. Colorado actually playing a little bit better baseball recently. But the Dodgers obviously have something to play for. The Dodgers are trying to win this division. Colorado, the only thing they have to play for is to spoil the Dodgers season. But of course, that is a motivating factor. Colorado, with the Dodgers coming into their place, Colorado probably will show up with motivation as well. But the Dodgers may not overlook Colorado just because they do need to keep winning, but they are maybe in a letdown spot too because the Dodgers just swept San Diego to retake the lead in the NL West. Big series that they just swept, man. So the Dodgers could definitely be in a letdown spot, even though a lot of times the team will carry momentum out on the road. That Padres series is way bigger than this Rocky series is. So it's not really the greatest spot for the Dodgers here. Both bullpens are not great, although the Dodgers do have the better bullpen out of the two, even though it's not very good. They used 4 relievers yesterday, 5 relievers maybe that was, but Colorado used about the same amount of their bullpen, which is a terrible bullpen. So you got to give the Dodgers, obviously, they have the offensive edge. They have the starting pitching edge as well, and you have to give them the bullpen edge as well. So Dodgers do have the edge across the board, but obviously they're going to be a huge favorite here. Yamamoto is pitching for them. He is one of their best starters. 2.84 ERA, 1.09 whip. He's really good, obviously. He's actually better on the road, 2.28 ERA on the road. But this is Coors Field, but he did pitch there not too long ago, and he actually shut them out for 5 innings, only allowed 1 hit. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, so he seemed unfazed by pitching in elevation the recent time that he was there. His most recent start was actually bad, inexplicably bad at Anaheim. He gave up 6 earned runs on 5 walks in 4 2/3, so he had a pretty bad start in that one against Anaheim. But to me, it looks like a little bit of a blip because he was pitching pretty well before that. He'd allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every start going all the way back into mid-June. That was the last time he actually had a bad start besides that one. So I think he will bounce back here. But again, it does look like kind of a spot where the Dodgers might kind of lapse in focus a little bit. Yamamoto's numbers against the Rockies are only okay in 22 at-bats. 7-0 strikeout walk ratio is good. 273 batting average is, mediocre, really. And 727 OPS, kind of mediocre as well. If you want to look for a player prop, Tovar is 6 for 7 with a home run off him. And a double. Those are kind of ridiculous stats, man, that he's hit Yamamoto that well. Don't know how that's the case, but still Yamamoto is the better of these two pitchers. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Up against Kyle Freeland, who, as far as the Rockies pitchers go, he's actually one of the better ones. 5.18 ERA, a 1.49 whip, not awful as far as Rockies standards go, but he does pitch worse at Coors Field with a 6.52 ERA here at home. Not good. Coming off a nice 7 1/3 inning shutout against St. Louis, although he doesn't really strike a lot of guys out. He has a 6.4 strikeout walk ratio over his last couple of starts, which isn't very good. Failed to go 5 innings in the 2 starts prior to that most recent one. So I don't know if we're ready to say Freeland's really in good form or anything like that. And going up against the Dodgers, obviously, is not going to be easy. His numbers are mediocre against them. The Dodgers have seen a lot of them. 137 at-bats. 35-10 strikeout walk ratio is all right. 255 average allowed is all right, but an 824 OPS is pretty high. The Dodgers have 12 doubles and 8 home runs off him, so the Dodgers have hit him for some power there. So again, I wouldn't really want to fade the Dodgers here, even though it does look like a spot where they may be in a little bit of a letdown spot, but they're up from minus 240 to minus 275 on the road. I mean, you have one of the best teams in baseball against the absolute worst, so it does make sense, but I don't think there's any way that you can play the Dodgers like that. 90% of tickets, 97% of the cash on them. Total's gone up a little bit from 10.5 to 11, all the way juiced to the over, actually. 75% of tickets, only 64% of the cash on the over. Probably wouldn't want to do that either, just because there is the possibility that Yamamoto does come out and pitch well here. Although I wouldn't really want to do anything with an under here because the Dodgers could potentially score a lot still. But I would worry about the Dodgers hitting a little bit just because they might be distracted off that good series that they just had. So, I mean, still, if you really have to play this game, probably the only way that you can really play it is the Dodgers to go over their team total. But again, because they're distracted, I might worry about that. Cincinnati at Anaheim. Anaheim is staying on the West Coast. They are technically returning home from a road trip from Northern California, from Sacramento, from playing the A's. but not really a huge travel spot for them. So I don't think they're really going to be in that like terrible, unfocused spot returning home from a road trip. Cincinnati, they're probably in a letdown spot, though. I mean, they just busted Milwaukee's streak, man. That was a huge win. Huge, dramatic win for Cincinnati yesterday. They do get to carry that momentum out on the road, though, and sometimes you are focused when you go on the road. Cincinnati is still trying to fight for a wild card spot here, so they do have some motivation in that respect, whereas Anaheim basically has nothing left to play for here. But is that enough? I don't know, because it does seem like it's kind of a letdown spot for Cincinnati here. The travel spot a little bit worse there. Nate, what's up, man? Thank you, sir. I'm a house toad. What? Toad of the house? Toad of all the toads. Brady Singer. Well, actually, hold on. Let me look at the bullpen usage first here. Cincinnati. They have the better of the two bullpens. They didn't use too much of their bullpen yesterday. Anaheim didn't use a whole lot of theirs either, even though they used 5 relievers. 3 of them only threw 7 pitches apiece, so any of those relievers might show up again in this one, but still Cincinnati has the better of the two bullpens. Anaheim's is bad. As far as the offense, these offenses are close, although Anaheim has a slight offensive edge based on the stats here. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds here. 4.31 ERA on the season, 1.31 whip. His numbers aren't great this year. He's actually been really bad on the road, even though Cincinnati's home stadium is pretty hitter-friendly, but he's been awful on the road for some reason. 6.02 ERA on the road, pretty bad. He's coming off a really nice start against Philadelphia. 6-inning shutout with 6 strikeouts. 2 of his last 3 starts have been shutouts for 6 innings against Philly and Atlanta, but both of them at home. His last 2 road starts have been awful against Pittsburgh and Washington, allowing 11 earned runs combined over like 6 innings. That's awful. So for some reason, he's just way, way worse on the road. And he had 6 walks compared to 3 strikeouts in those 2 starts. So very strange because his last 3 home starts have been excellent. His last 4 home starts have actually been quite good. And he had a lot of strikeouts in those. But man, he is so much worse on the road that I don't think you can really say he's in like very good form or anything like that. Anaheim does not have a whole lot of history against him. They only have 3 hitters who have seen him before. 32 at-bats, but they have 13 strikeouts, 5 walks, 4 of them Moncada, though. 219 average, 655 OPS. So Singer is pretty unfamiliar to them, and he has done pretty well against their hitters that have seen him. So maybe he will do okay for that reason. And I don't really trust what Anaheim's doing here with Victor Medeiros listed as their starter. 5.63 ERA, 1.5 whip. He's been a little bit better at home, 5.4 ERA, but he's only thrown 8 innings so far this season, man. He's been, he came out of the bullpen, I think, a couple of times, and then he did make a start against the Dodgers last time out, and it was not totally successful. He gave up 3 earned runs in 4 innings, walked 3 guys, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, a lot of threes going on in that game. But it is the Dodgers. They're a good lineup. Reds lineup not as good as the Dodgers, obviously, but Medeiros, I don't really trust him. His strikeout walk ratio on the season is 7.7. That's not good. So there's not a whole lot to trust with him. And he's probably going to be out of the game pretty early. So you're probably going to get the bullpen coming in for the Angels, which is not a good sign. The Reds have never faced Medeiros before, but I still don't know if that's going to help him that much. So even though it looks like kind of a letdown spot for Cincinnati, to me it looks like they do have a matchup edge pretty much almost across the board here, even though Anaheim does have a slightly better offense. So I don't know, the pitching-wise, Cincinnati I do think has the edge pitching-wise, but the money's coming in against them. They're up from -105 to -110, 82% of tickets, only 55% of the cash. So it looks like Anaheim is getting some professional money as the home underdog there. So again, do with that information what you will. I got to try to lower my voice again, man, because my voice has been really, really strained recently. It's just really bad. It's just kind of the way that I talk. But let me know if you can still hear me at my lower voice level here, because I really got to try to take a step back and do something about that. The total in this game is high, too, at 9.5, with 90% of the tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. I wouldn't really disagree with an over. I think pretty much the pitching across the board is kind of untrustworthy in that game. So I wouldn't really disagree with that. Cleveland at Arizona. Arizona is returning home from Texas and Colorado, so they are returning home from a road trip. Arizona does have nothing to play for, but maybe they'll be a little bit angry because they had a bad series against Colorado. But I don't know, man. It's possible they just are kind of packing it in and not playing well anymore. Cleveland, and again, Arizona, it's kind of a distraction spot because they are returning home from a road trip. Cleveland, I mean, they may be in a little bit of a bounce back spot here as they are starting a road trip after getting swept by Atlanta at home. So sometimes when you do that, one of the best things for you is to get out on the road. Forget about it. Cleveland, I think, can still make the playoffs here, but they're not a very good team. They're a very bad offense. Arizona has the way better offense here. Cleveland does have the better bullpen. I mean, Arizona's bullpen is terrible. So all that has to be kept in mind. Gavin Williams is pitching for Cleveland. He's got okay numbers. 3.38 ERA is pretty good, but 1.31 whip is not very good. He's a little bit worse on the road. 3.6 ERA on the road. Had a really bad start last time out. Only lasted 3 innings against Miami. Gave up 4 earned runs. But remember, he took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in the prior game against the Mets, and he actually was 1 out away from having a no-hitter, I'm pretty sure, against the Mets, and wound up losing it right at the end. So I think he was in a bit of a hangover spot after that. Prior to that last start, he actually had a few good starts in a row. He actually had 6 starts in a row where he allowed 3 or fewer earned runs, and he allowed 2 or fewer in all but one of those. So he was actually pitching better. So Williams, I don't trust his whip, but he does get a lot of ground ball outs. Yeah, and he was pitching well before that last game, which I think was kind of explainable because he was coming off that huge game where he almost got a no-hitter, so I think he was in a letdown spot. He may very well bounce back here, and Arizona's never seen him before, so he may have a little bit of an extra edge here against Arizona just because they've never seen him before, and that could be an edge to a young pitcher like that. He's going up against Zach Gallen, who is not having a good season for the Diamondbacks. 5.31 ERA, 1.35 whip on the season. That's not good. 5.59 ERA at home, so he is worse at home. Arizona's won 3 starts in a row for him. He's not been great over that span with only 10 strikeouts and 5 walks in 17 innings. That's not great, even though his ERA is 3.18 over that span. So he hasn't allowed a lot of runs over his last 3 starts, 3 or fewer in all of them, but not striking out a lot of guys, walking too many guys. So I would say he's not really still in the greatest form here, but Cleveland is a bad offense. However, his numbers are not very good against Cleveland. In 52 at-bats, 288 batting average allowed, 770 OPS. So not great numbers for Gallen there against Williams. Oh, and by the way, it looks like maybe Gallen is hurt or being pushed back or something because Arizona now is undecided on a starter. So I think I would lean to Cleveland in this game, man. If it's Gallen or if Arizona's going with like a spot starter or a bullpen game, I think you got to lean to Cleveland. I think Cleveland does have the pitching edge across the board, even though their offense is terrible. I think they might have a little bit of a situational edge, too. Arizona down from minus 120 to minus 107. Total sitting at 9, but if you were going to play this game, I'd probably say Cleveland money line. Probably could still get them at an underdog price, and I will have a play on this last game as well, as you can see in my title. So let's get to it. We'll do the best bets, and then I'll talk about the one NFL preseason game tonight, which there's not a whole lot going on with that. But best bets, let's do it, man. We already know I gave out the Chicago Cubs in game 1. You can go back towards the beginning of the show. I gave out the analysis on that spur-of-the-moment play on the Cubs. Next up, we're going to have Baltimore and Boston under 8.5. I'm going to go under, and I saw that at even money out there, so if you can find it under 9, you could do that too. I mean, 9 is a key number on a total in baseball because it breaks a 4-4 tie. So if you want to try to find a 9 out there, you might have to pay a little bit extra for it. It might be worth it. Looks like maybe you can't find that because right now it looks like it was 9 juice to the under for a bit, but it dropped pretty quickly to 8 juice to the over. But it looks like the money is coming in on the under in this game. 56% of tickets on the over, 75% of the cash on the under. And I know playing in a game like this on the under in Fenway Park, with at least one pitcher that I've even shit on a lot. I mean, I've shit on both of these guys on the show before, but especially Dustin May, who's not a very trustworthy starter. It does look kind of weird to take an under here, but I think this is a spot where it makes sense to do so. Red Sox are staying at home, by the way. They're down from minus 120 to minus 117 on the money line, but they do have 71% of the cash on them, 68% of the tickets on Baltimore. I think the public is just kind of looking at Rogers having the way better ERA over May, and I think the public's kind of coming in on Baltimore here, which as a Red Sox fan, I'm not, I'm not unhappy about that because hopefully the market is correct on the Red Sox in this game. But I'm not going to be playing the side in this one. I'm going with the under in this one. The Red Sox are staying at home. Might be a little bit angry the way they lost that game yesterday to Miami. Baltimore is pretty hot right now, man. They've won 4 of the last 5 games against Seattle and Houston. So some pretty good wins, especially crushing Houston, shutting them out in those 2 wins that they got against Houston. And the only loss they had, they barely lost the game, 5-4. But they are having to travel up to Boston from Houston, so the travel spot's not as good for Baltimore here. Might affect their hitting a little bit. But again, we're gonna look at the under here. I know Baltimore doesn't have a very good bullpen, but they are rested right now, so I think I'm okay with going full game on this. If you want to go under in the first 5 innings, I think that's fine as well. Baltimore's bullpen is not very good. I understand that. If you want to fade Baltimore's bullpen, I do get that. They're not the absolute worst bullpen. They're like 6th worst. I know it's still bad, but they're not in that like upper echelon of like completely unplayable bullpens. And the Red Sox bullpen is actually pretty good. So we'll keep them in the equation. They didn't use a whole lot of their pen either over the last couple of days. Red Sox, shockingly, actually have the 3rd best bullpen in all of baseball right now. So we'll keep them in the equation, even though I know the Red Sox do have a pretty good offense as well, which you wouldn't think that they would, really, because they have a lot of young guys, but they've really coalesced. They have the 6th best offense, OPS-wise, but of course, Baltimore's is not good. Baltimore, where are they at? They're mid-tier right now, 18th in offense. But anyway, we're looking at the pitching. I like better pitching over better hitting here, and these pitchers, man, I actually think that this is a matchup where we can play on these pitchers. I mean, Trevor Rogers, shocking to me. He's actually just been good basically every start since Baltimore's brought him up and put him in their rotation. He's been their best starter. It's absolutely crazy. He wasn't that good back when he was on Miami. He wasn't good in AAA this year, but look at his numbers. 1.43 ERA, 0.81 whip. I mean, I expect that to regress at some point, but man, he's been good. Worse on the road, but still 1.99 ERA. You can't knock him for that. This month, he's thrown 21 innings. He allowed 1 earned run in each of his outings against the Cubs in Philadelphia on the road and Seattle at home. So not even in Seattle's pitcher-friendly park. He allowed 1 run in each of those games. He went 6 innings or more in all 3 games. Pitched well against 3 pretty potent offenses and had a 20-2 strikeout walk ratio over that span. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start, and that was one of his really early starts at a Tampa Bay stadium that's pretty difficult to pitch in. It's a very hitter-friendly park, and their temporary spring training stadium that they're playing in at Steinbrenner Field. Take that start out of the equation. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every start this entire year. Absolutely insane. And he has good numbers against the Red Sox. They're only 6 for 30 off him with 1 extra base hit, which is a double by Walker Buehler, who's not going to be hitting in this game. So the only extra base hit that the Red Sox have against Trevor Rogers is from a pitcher. Maybe they should pinch hit him, man. I don't know. It's ridiculous. He does have 7 strikeouts and 4 walks against them, which isn't that great, but he's held him to a really low 200 average, 527 OPS. I know it's not a huge sample size, but Rogers does have good numbers against the Red Sox. Dustin May, pitching for the Red Sox. Oh, Dusty boy, what are we going to get out of you, man? 4.67 ERA, 1.35 whip. Not good numbers on the year. I get it. He actually has been better at home this season, although most of that was with the Dodgers. 3.26 ERA at home. But he is worse on the road. I get that. Although, of course, the road did include a start at Fenway Park where he wasn't really good or bad. His last start with the Dodgers was actually at Fenway Park, and he went 5 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, did have a 5-0 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't that terrible. And, of course, Baltimore's offense is not as good as the Red Sox. Then, first game of the Red Sox, he was pretty bad. He gave up 3 earned runs. This was in Fenway Park, which I know is not a great sign. To Kansas City, not a good offense. It was a shaky start for him. But he did have 4 strikeouts, no walks, and then what he did in his last outing is giving me faith in Dustin May right now. And it was on the road where he actually has been bad this year, like I said. But he went to Houston and he shut them out for 6 innings. And Houston's a pretty decent lineup, at least. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits allowed. So he had a really good outing against Houston. So that gives me faith that he could do well against Baltimore. He's stepping down in class against a Baltimore team. It's not as good offensively. And Baltimore's never faced him before except for Dylan Carlson, who's 0 for 2 off him. So May is basically completely unfamiliar to Baltimore. So I think that's a little bit of an extra edge for May because Baltimore's going to have to try to figure him out. So we're going to go under in this game, man. And the market's agreeing with it. I think you probably have to go under the 8.5 in no man's land there, but I think that's fine. If you wanted to go under 9, I would probably go upwards of about minus 120 to pay for the under 9. Let me just see if there is any out there. I bet there's not, though, because when I looked earlier this morning, you couldn't do it. So let me see. At any of the books in Massachusetts, at least. No, it looks like the money, it's really, really shifting, man. So you can't even get the under 8.5 at a great price anymore. You got to go under 8.5 at minus 115 now. Is what the line is out there now. But, I mean, I think that's still the way to go, under the 8.5. And then to finish this off, we're going to go San Francisco Giants plus 125. I understand how bad this looks. I get it. San Francisco's bad offensively. I understand this. They're playing the San Diego Padres. But here's the thing, man. San Francisco, even though I understand they're really, really atrocious offensively, they're like 5th worst in baseball. San Diego's not that much better. San Diego offensively is 20th in OPS, so there's not a huge offensive disparity between these two teams. And yes, I know San Diego was the best bullpen ERA in all baseball, but the Giants are second. The Giants have still been good, even though I know they tailed off a little bit, but the Giants still have a very good bullpen. So there's not a huge advantage to San Diego there. And I think we start seeing an edge for San Francisco. The fact that they only used 2 relievers yesterday and their bullpen usage has been light over the last 2 days. So that gives me some faith in San Francisco's bullpen, whereas San Diego, they just seem to overuse their bullpen a lot, man. We've seen more work out of their bullpen recently. 4 guys came in. I know their bullpen is really good. Basically, all of their bullpen relievers are good. They could basically all be a closer, but still, they have a little bit more bullpen usage, so that gives me a little bit more faith in San Francisco. We're getting them as an underdog here, and I think this is a bad spot for San Diego, man. They had a huge weekend series against the Dodgers, and they got swept. I get it, so you might be saying, well, they're going to bounce back here. Now they get to beat up on San Francisco, right? I'm not so sure about that because, again, San Diego went into that series with a lead over the Dodgers and then getting swept by the Dodgers in a pretty competitive series. They lost 2 of the 3 games by 1 run, including yesterday's game. Really competitive. Lost on a clutch home run by Mookie Betts in the bottom of the 8th inning. San Diego actually did out-hit the Dodgers yesterday, but that was a close game, man. I think San Diego, the fact that they almost were able to win that game, I think they're going to be hung over from that, man. It's a return home spot, so again, you could be a little bit distracted when you return home. They're coming off that big series against the Dodgers again, and they're facing a San Francisco team. It's pretty much out of it now. And they just beat San Francisco on the road, and not only did they beat them on the road, but they swept them, man. So I think San Diego might take San Francisco pretty lightly. I think it's a bad spot. They have to get stuff done at home. I think they might be a little bit distracted off having a huge weekend series. Might not take San Francisco seriously. And because San Francisco did just get swept by San Diego 2 series ago, I think that's going to piss off San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to show up here, if anything, just because they want to spoil the party for San Diego and they want to get some road revenge here, man. Road revenge is a thing. When you just got swept at your own stadium against a team and you get to play them again in their stadium right away, I think you're going to show up and want to play well, man. So I think that's good. And San Francisco, I know they were playing awful baseball. They lost 7 games in a row, but what did they do yesterday? They won. They beat Tampa Bay 7-1. So I think the good thing about that is that ends their losing momentum, man. A lot of times when a team has a long loss streak like that and then they end that loss streak, it carries over into the next game and they actually play well. Starting a road trip also tends to be a positive spot. So that's a focus spot for them, I think. So I think it's a situational spot that sets up pretty nicely for San Francisco here. As far as the starting pitching, I think San Francisco has the edge in the starting pitching as well. To me, it looks like this is a fade of a public San Diego team. I know San Diego's really good at home. I understand that. We are fading San Diego having a good home record. I get that. Home record. San Diego's a minus 139 favorite here, so you can get a decent underdog price on San Francisco here. 68% of tickets, only 52% of the cash on San Diego, so they're a public home team here with less of the money coming in on them. And we have a low total of 7.5 in a pitcher-friendly ballpark, so you know what that means. It means there's probably a little bit more value in playing the underdog when there's a low total like this, because that probably means it's more likely to be a closer game, right? Where every run means a little bit more. So the underdog is a better way to look. I mean, you could maybe pay a little bit more to get a +1.5 on San Francisco too, but you probably have to pay a little bit too much for that with a low total like this. So I think money line is just the way to go. You're getting the plus money on it, man. So when you do that, you're not even saying you think San Francisco is necessarily going to win the game. You're saying you think they have better odds to win the game than what the odds makers are giving you. So if you have San Francisco, if they win this game 48% of the time or so, you're going to make money long term on a bet like this. So these small baseball underdogs, if you think you have an edge on that team, they're definitely a good way to go, getting that underdog price. And I think we do, man. We have Robbie Ray pitching for San Francisco. He's debatably their best starter. I mean, I've been saying it's Logan Webb because Webb is just a grinder, but Robbie Ray is having a good season. 2.98 ERA, 1.14 whip. I know he's a little bit worse on the road, but it's not that significant. 3.15 ERA on the road. This is still a pitcher-friendly park. I know he did just face San Diego, so San Diego is familiar with him, but as we'll see, that's going to be the case with both starting pitcher here. Both starting pitchers just saw these opposing lineups, so the fact that the opposing lineup might have an edge against the starting pitcher, it's a wash because both offenses have that edge. I know Robbie Ray is throwing a lot of pitches here, man. He's thrown over 100 pitches in 4 straight starts. I get it. That's scary to go on a pitcher that's doing that, but he's been doing that regularly, man. He's throwing 100 pitches in a lot of these starts, and he's still pitching well, so I'm not going to be too concerned with that. I know he didn't do that well against San Diego. He gave up 4 earned runs in 6 innings, but strikeout walk-wise was pretty good. He had 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, so he wasn't actually bad in that start. He just kind of gave up some untimely hitting, I think, or timely hitting for the opponent there. This month, he does have an 18-4 strikeout walk ratio. Prior to that start, he hadn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his prior 3 starts. Going all the way back into June, he allowed 2 or fewer in all but 2 starts. And he allowed 3 or fewer in any start, going all the way back, way further than that, going all the way back into April, mid-April. So he's been really, really good pretty much all season. And against San Diego, I understand his numbers are not great against San Diego. I get it. 96 at bats, 23-15 strikeout walk ratio is not great. I know 260 batting average is not horrible, but an 871 OPS I understand is bad. The 23-15 strikeout walk ratio is the thing that's really bad. But if you look at the numbers, Machado is really the guy that does like almost all the damage. He's Laureano does do some of the damage here, 7 for 12 with a home run, but Machado 5 for 19 with 3 home runs, 6 walks against him. So a ton of that damage is from Machado. So I think Ray could pitch a little bit better here, man. So I actually think Ray is the better of these 2 pitchers here. I don't trust Nestor Cortez right now, man. I mean, there's a reason why teams have been getting rid of him. The Yankees let him go, or I don't know if his contract was just up or whatever, but he moved on, went to Milwaukee to start the season. He was really bad in his first start for Milwaukee or against the Yankees. Did have 1 good start for Milwaukee, but Milwaukee traded him away. And since then, even though I know San Diego's won both of his starts, he hasn't really been good with San Diego. He has a 9-4 strikeout walk ratio. He's only got 9 1/3 innings in 2 starts. Didn't go 5 innings in either start. And like I said, his most recent one was against San Francisco. I know the other one was Arizona. Arizona's a good team. Good offense. I mean, not a good team, but a good offense. Excuse me. Their pitching is terrible. And I know that's a hitter-friendly park. Maybe you give Cortez a pass for that because he's trying to get back into the swing of things. He hadn't pitched for months. I get it. His outing against San Francisco wasn't that bad with 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 6 hits allowed, 1 earned run allowed, and 4 2/3. But again, he's not throwing a ton of pitches, man, so he might be the first guy out of the 2 starters. He might be the guy that lasts less in this game. And his numbers against San Francisco, I mean, yeah, I understand Ray's numbers aren't that good against San Diego, but Cortez against the Giants, except for the strikeout walk ratio, his numbers are worse. And 54 at bats, I know 21-4 strikeout walk ratio is good, but he dominates Devers. I mean, Devers, 12 strikeouts against him. All right, whatever. But overall, 315 batting average, allowed a 973 OPS against Cortez. And at least Devers has seen a lot of Cortez because Cortez was on the Yankees and Devers was on the Red Sox. So I think the starting pitching matchup, still you give the edge to Robbie Ray in this game. So that's what we're going with, man. We're going to go with the San Francisco Giants in that game. And then, to finish this off, I'll talk about the preseason NFL game real quick here before we get out of here. Bengals and the Washington Redskins. I refuse to call them anything else. We have one of the highest totals that we've seen in preseason, up to 43, because both of these teams have bad defenses, and they both have potent offenses, except for the fact that I'm pretty sure that you're not going to see Jaden Daniels in this one. I doubt it. The Bengals, though, because they've been getting off to such slow starts over the last couple of years, and Joe Burrow was coming back from injury to start the season last year, and they didn't play him in preseason. Joe Burrow has already played in preseason a little bit, so I think Burrow is going to be in this game early for the Bengals again, which is why you see them up from 3 to 3.5 despite being on the road here. So the money has jacked up the line on the Bengals a little bit. Again, I think that line may be a little bit too crazy. I mean, they're over-adjusting maybe because Burrow will be in there, but he's not going to be in there later in the game. He'll be in there for a couple series early in the game probably. So I think the way that makes sense to play this is Bengals over their team total, that's the thing I've recommended when you know that they're going to have a starting quarterback in. You could do that, or you could go over the team total in the first half of the game. I'm still in baseball mode here because that's when Burrow's going to be in the game, so they might be scoring more in the first half. Or you could play the Bengals spread in the first half, and you might be able to get them like -1.5, -2 in the first half. So play them to be ahead at the end of the first half. That might be a way to go. The first recommendation that I gave out in the preseason that I think failed to cash on the full game was the Jacksonville Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence in there to go over their full team total yesterday. But I did recommend that you could go over in the first first half yesterday, or go over their team total in the first half. And those did cash for Jacksonville. They scored all their points, I think, except for maybe 3 of them in the first half. Could see something similar out of the Bengals here, man. So I think that's what we're going to get. Washington, again, if you wanted to go over, I think an over actually does make sense in this game, too. I think you might see some points here because Washington, I believe Marcus Mariota, if I'm not mistaken, is still there. Well, we could look real quick. I think he's still their backup quarterback, right? So I think he's probably going to get playing time in this game. Let me see. What do we have here for their depth chart here for Washington? Let me see real quick. And he does play well in their offense here. It looks like he is questionable, though. And then they have Josh Johnson, who does have some experience. Nope, it looks like Mariota's not going to play, so maybe scratch that. Then you're going to get a lot of Josh Johnson then probably in this game, which is probably part of the reason why the Bengals are favored as much as they are. But you will see Joe Burrow in the game early, and then Bengals are going to have Jake Browning and Desmond Ridder coming off their bench. And those are guys that at least have experience starting in the NFL, even though, say what you will about Ridder, I know he's not that good, but he's made a bunch of starts at least at the NFL level, and Browning has made some starts too, with Burrow being injured. So Bengals, they do have the better quarterback rotation, so I still wouldn't really mind Bengals over their team total in the full game as well. First half makes sense as well. That's going to do it for me, man. JC, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I already said hi to all you guys, I think. That's going to do it, man. My plays one more time for the day. Chicago Cubs in game 1 in the afternoon. Moneyline. Under in Orioles-Red Sox. And San Francisco Giants moneyline. That's going to do it. Everybody have a good one today. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram, where I will post some more of these short-form betting content videos. Follow the show, man. Like, subscribe. Let's get our subscribers up, man. Let's monetize. Better Off Dead, of course, here on YouTube. We're on the audio platform, so if you give me a rating or review, that will help as well. On Spotify and or Apple, so check that out as well. And it's monetized over there, so any amount of airplay that you give it over there helps as well. Covered in Uke is my ukulele channel, so check that out on YouTube as well. And patreon.com/learntotode, you will get a Spotify Uke feed at one of the levels, and prioritize Uke requests at the highest level. And I'm probably going to start doing Uke streams, but I got to get my voice back, man. I apologize for that. I do have more ukulele stuff I have to get up on the Patreon stream, so I apologize for that too. So I have to get that done. Got to get it all done, man. A lot of work here, despite making no money off of it. So hopefully I can start. I want to start making money somehow, man. I have content. I don't even know what I'm going to do, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks, everybody, and have a good Monday. Let's kick off the week well here.